Hey, everybody. It's Jessica Brell. Thank you for tuning in to Everyday Inspiring Women. We are on episode number 27 already. It has been such a fun adventure for me interviewing 26 of my friends. And now I am so excited to have a chat with my friend Kelly Cowan. Sorry, Kelly. I was thinking about it today, and I've known Kelly for about it's been well over 10 years. And we kind of met through a mutual friend. And I was following Kelly's journey. And Kelly, you were like one of the first people I had ever seen in real life who was doing like moon meditations, like phases of the moon meditations in your backyard. And I'll never forget you were talking about, journaling. People were like, you're just kind of like free journaling, and a story about a man who came through you. Like, it was just, I was like, I love her so much already.
Oh my God, I forgot about all that.
Like a million years ago. Yeah. And so I'm trying to think exactly how it happened, but I think then it was kind of, we had a space, and I feel like I reconnected with you about a year ago
Yeah.
and have been following you ever since. And I'm just loving everything that you do, and I will stop building it up. I want you to fill in all the blanks that I missed. You'll do such a better job than I will. So
So,
what have you been up to for the last 12 years?
okay, well, now I'm like going back in my memory. I'm thinking, like, what was I doing 10 years ago? I know what you're talking about, but how were we? I wasn't on Facebook, was I? What was happening back? Like, how were we?
Yeah.
How were you getting stuff? Like, was it on? I know I was like doing newsletters a long time ago, but I'm like trying to think, how did you see my stuff? What was I doing? Was I posting? What was it happening?
No, I wasn't on Facebook way back then either. And now that you say newsletter, I bet that's what it was. I sound like a stalker. I was just stalking you, like low key stalking you, going, I know what Kelly's up to.
That could be it, because I remember back in the day, like doing, oh my gosh, like I don't know if people still do this, but like sitting in my basement and I had the newsletter template. Yeah, probably that was what was going on. And then I would email it out to
Yeah.
whoever was on my list, right? And I would share personal stories or whatever. And yeah, I probably shared something about when I started channeling. Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, you were new age before new age was cool in my mind anyway.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so what have I been doing? Holy cow. So we're talking like pre-kids, and I'm getting flashbacks as we're saying of all kinds of things.
Love it.
Um, holy cow. So what you know, going into this talk, and it was good timing. I like the fall too, because we're at the end of September. I'm always nostalgic at
Mm.
this time of year. I start thinking back about my childhood, and as kids are going back to school, I'm like, oh my gosh, like how did I get to this point, and to having my studio? Because it's been even just honestly like the past few months, like not even 2-3 months, I'm like, I'm a business owner. Oh,
Mm.
really? What? I never saw myself as a business owner. It's the weirdest thing that I'm kind of coming to realize. It's because, and maybe this is common for a lot of people who do what they love, I don't see it as a business.
Mm.
So I've always loved doing yoga. I've always loved teaching yoga. I've been teaching yoga for, I don't know, well, it's probably been maybe 12 years or so that I've been teaching yoga. And I was thinking back, kind of like what started me on this path. And I'm like, I'm looking at my childhood. I wasn't interested in sports. I wasn't on any teams. I'm like, when did this, I was kind of like, I think kind of almost lazy. I liked like hanging out with my friends. Like maybe we would go for walks. And I'm like, when did this really start? And it was in university. I picked my university program by default. I'm like, no, no, no. I'm like, that one looks okay, so I'll take that one. I got bachelor of science anyway. And I remember laying on this hill outside of the student center at the University of Guelph and thinking, I just wanted to teach yoga. I don't know this crazy organic chemistry I'm taking, molecular biology, genetics. How am I going to use this stuff? I just want to be a yoga teacher. But I thought, you know what? I'll finish out. I'll do the thing. We'll do the university thing, and then we'll go from there. So it's really funny because once I got out of university, I kept going with that. I stuck to the sciences. I got a job in the lab and it was safe for me. And it's really funny because I remember one of the co-op teachers, because I was in co-op at the time. So I had an opportunity to try some jobs while I was going to school from university. And they said, what would be your ideal job? And I'm like, oh, okay, perfect. This is great. I'm going to put down my ideal job. And I know what I wrote. I would like a job where I can follow a procedure and I know exactly what I'm doing, right? I want to feel, in my head, I want to feel safe. Like I don't want to make any mistakes. I got that job. I ended up in a lab and it was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I following procedures. And I realized that was a safety net. It was because I didn't want to have to worry about creating or doing something or being creative. And it worked for a little while. And then as I got another job, I got married, I moved back home. So from University of Guelph, from the Guelph area, I moved home. And it just wasn't doing it for me anymore. I'm like, yeah, I can follow these procedures, but every day I'm like, there's nothing, I can't do anything with it. I didn't feel creative. And I started getting depressed. And that's when that started happening where you were talking about, I started channeling because I would be working and I would get my work done and then I'd have time and I would just start journaling. And it's like when I'm in this place of inner turmoil or angst or deep upset. And I'm starting to ask questions like, what is going on in my life? When you start asking the big questions, what is happening? What's my purpose here?
Mm-hmm.
I started journaling and stuff started coming out. I started opening up. And that's when that whole channeling thing happened, where I would be getting messages and all that kind of stuff. But not only that happened, I was really taking a look at what do I want to do? This is not it. I don't want to be working in a lab. It just wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
A 9 to 5 job in an office just wasn't working for me. So my husband and I, we decided, you know what? We're going to start a family. And I said, I really still would like to be a yoga teacher. And so it was like yoga teacher training or start a family. And for whatever reason, we decided, let's start a family. Well, something happened. I had a miscarriage and I said, okay, yoga teacher training. So I went to yoga teacher training, loved it. Oh my gosh. I'm like, yes, this is where I want to be. And I started bringing that into working full time and then teaching classes out of my home in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
A couple people would come on over, you guys, we're going to do some yoga. And it just kind of grew from there. And then I remember even in those days thinking, gosh, like it would be really something to, I don't even know if I thought I would have my own studio one day. It was more kind of like, what someone should have is they should have a really cool yoga studio. This is what my mind did.
Right.
Somebody should have this cool yoga studio with this really cool hangout spot, like a lounge where people can talk and have some tea. And then if they want to do some yoga, if they want to do like dancing or be creative, they could go over there. And I'm like, there should be some food too, some really good food and snacks. And so I was like, oh, I love this. This should be so good, right? So I'm not even kidding you. I had this like image in my head of the space that someone should create, right? It's in my basement right now.
Yeah, of course.
Like that, magical. Like just how you were saying about the podcast. You were thinking, how do I do a podcast? How do I put this in? When you get thinking about it, it's like this giant thing. Your brain cannot even put it together. That's why the brain, it's good for some things, but for the magical stuff, I like to kind of come out of the head a little bit and things just start to happen. And it's here. I can't believe it. I have my own yoga studio. I pinch myself. That's why I'm saying I'm like, it's hard to believe that I'm a business owner because I'm loving what I'm doing. And it's been an unbelievable ride to get here. It's truly been magical.
Oh, a strong start. Yes. 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 Yeah, I'm like sorting through it, going like, where do we even dig in here? But I love the idea that you're like, someone else should do it. And like just giving your like transitioning to kind of giving yourself permission and going like, hey, wait, maybe I could be that person. Hold on a sec. Maybe it's me who gets to do this. Like, where do you think that transition happened? And like, did you have to give yourself permission, do you think? Or did it just kind of grow from the more you were thinking about it, it was just kind of starting to manifest?
I I think what happens with me, and this might be for a lot of people, when it seems like something that's so different from where we are right now, and the life that we're dreaming up or fantasizing is so different from A to B, is like, what the hell do I do to get from A to B?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of, somebody told me once, she said, and this has stuck with me over the years, she said, every day take one small step in the direction of your passion. And I thought, yeah, okay, I can do that. And so I just, that's kind of how I do it every day. I'm like, what would light me up today? What would I love? You know what? I would really love to let's do some dancing. People would like to come and dance on Saturday mornings. I love to wake up Saturday mornings. Let's do it. So the basement was just like a concrete floor, and it was just, you know, there were walls up and whatever. So I'm like, come on over. Like, let's get this going, right? So even at that time, I wasn't thinking I'm going to have a studio. It was just people coming over in my unfinished basement. I'm like, yeah, this is great. And I thought, it'll be really cool down here. Again, I'm not thinking I'm going to have a yoga studio. We should put some flooring in. It just wouldn't be as cold. And I feel like I want
Mm-hmm.
a little better floor. So again, I'm just taking these tiny little bites all the time and kind of faking myself out. Right. And so I'm like, this is a great floor. I love this floor. And while it was getting done, I'm like, you guys, we're just going to hang out. We're going to do classes in my garage. I would have the garage open. The sun was coming in. I'm like, we're dancing in the garage. We're having a great time. And, again, still just kind of moving because I just wanted to dance. So I don't care where this is happening. At the time too, I think we were just doing a group dance at the time. And I was still teaching at the gym. I was teaching at a gym for 10 years
Wow.
in
Wow.
Bell River.
That was 10 years. Okay. I
I
remember that.
know.
I remember when you were
Yeah,
there too.
a whole decade. And a lot happened. I mean, I started before I had kids. I taught through my pregnancy. People love seeing a pregnant yoga teacher, let me tell you. And the babies came out. Sometimes I'd have to take them to class with me. I'd strap them on my back in those like wraps, and I'd teach class. Like if it just had to turn out that way, they'd be pulling my earrings out, pulling my ponytail out. I'm like, I'm teaching tonight. I want to teach this class.
Yeah.
So if you're coming with me, I'm strapping you on. Let's go. And so as time went on, I loved it. I loved teaching it. I remember oftentimes at the end of a class where people would be lying and relaxing in shavasana, and I would cry because I felt so grateful that I could do this. And I knew, you know what, this is what I'm meant to do. And so I kept taking those small steps toward that passion. And it got to a point after 10 years where I thought, you know what, it's time to, I just felt I needed to change.
Yeah.
Something has to change. I still loved it, and I wanted to end loving it. So that meant saying goodbye to, there were people coming who had been with me from like the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hard. It was hard to say goodbye. But I knew there was something else. I wanted more. I wanted more creative freedom. I wanted to be in a space where I could say more what I wanted to say. I didn't have to censor anything. And I really respected that environment that they provided me for all those years. I grew 10 years with all those people and in that building and the support of that environment. So I was now ready to move on my own. And it was scary. I'm like, now what am I going to do? I'm out of there. And I'm not going back. I can't sub any classes because I wanted to make that change. So when I started in my home, the dancing was great. It was almost like once I started painting the studio and still keeping it fun, I was like, okay. And then it looked like a studio, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I started a little bit scared, and I'm like, I don't like this. Then it got for real, right? It was kind of faking myself out away, right? All the way along. And then I'm like, what the hell did I do? I would wake up and I'm like, I'm going downstairs to the studio. People are coming over. It was almost like a bit of a panic. Like, now I made this, I can't get out.
Right.
Right.
It's in my basement, legit now.
Yeah. It was down there. And it was like about a year that I had to really work through that kind of like caged feeling, because it's in my house and I had to find a way with this. And I would say it's been maybe like the last, even still, like maybe 6 months that I'm really like, wow, I love this. I love it. I love it. And even in the past year or two, kind of deciding what I want to offer, I would be like, well, maybe I should add another yoga class. And deciding, right? I'm building this from scratch, from like the ground up, literally. And what do people want? And I'm like, okay, hang on now. I used to do that with clients 10, 15 years ago. What do they want? I said, that's not going to work. What do I want? What do I want to create? What energy do I want in my space? And if people are vibing on that, then welcome, come on in. Because I knew if I wouldn't come from that place, it would be all wrong. It would be wrong. So that was a really big aha for me, to be in that moment and to realize, this is you, Kelly. This is your creation. You make it. You get to do what you want. And if I do it and I decide that, you know what, it's not working, then I get to change it too. I can change it. I can redesign it. I can do whatever the hell I want. It's my thing. It's my creation. You all are welcome to join me.
Hell yes. Oh, yeah. So like, we're recording a video for YouTube, but on the podcast, clearly you cannot see me. And I'm like preaching hands. Yes. When I have goosebumps all up and down my back. I find it so interesting, and I joke serious, but I'm like a slow learner. It's like, I just am. I just takes me a lot longer to learn things. And I'm at that point now where I'm like, I just need to do things that I want, that I'm passionate about, that I feel strongly in. And if I'm doing it and I'm interested, and then other people are interested too, amazing. And that's how it grows. Like you said, like if they're vibing on it, they're going to show up to your classes, versus the other way around. And it's like, okay, what do other people want? And that goes back to people pleasing and, not even being in alignment with yourself. I think that it's like, okay, well, trying to build the class schedule for other people, versus when you build it for yourself and what feels good, other people are going to feel that like 10 times more from you. Mm-hmm. And they're going to want to be in that space with you. Yes.
Yeah. And having young kids, right? A 7-year-old, a 10-year-old, my evenings and weekends are full. When they get home from school, it's on, right? And so I'm like, daytime, I got some daytime, right? We can party all day from 9 to 3:30. You want to come over and hang out? We can hang out. But after that, I'd like to leave as much time as I can for my family. I still like to do stuff, for myself. And I do like to go to classes. I do like to teach some classes at night. And I am doing that. But I, and even too, I got caught. I'm like, people love evening classes. People will love evening classes. I'm like, well, you're not teaching it, Kelly. You can take it, but you're not teaching it. So I'm starting to grow it in that way, where I'm like, hey, would you be interested in teaching a class in my studio? So this is getting exciting too now, so that I'm having other people come in and using the space. I'm like, this is, wow, this is such a blessing, right? And I can participate if I want. If I need to stay upstairs, I can do that too. And another thing too that occurred to me when I'm starting to create something new that I want to have, that I want to put out in the world, whether it be here or online. For me, I operate from the feeling of it. So if I feel like a class is brewing or a workshop is brewing, I'm like, what do I want it to feel like?
Mm-hmm.
And what do I want? How do I want the people to be? So I kind of get a sense of it. And this is typical. I'll kind of get quiet and it's almost like a little meditation for me. And I'm like, I keep tweaking it until I'm like, that's the feeling I want. That's the feeling I want. And then I have to I wait, because I don't know what it's going to look like. Is it going to be I have no idea. Is it a movement class, a lecture? I have no idea what the hell it's going to be. So I'm learning now. I have to wait for the seed to start to grow so I can see it. So I've planted all this, I've all the feelings, all the energy, and then it starts piecing together. People will start talking to me. Synchronicities will start happening. I'm like, it starts filling in my painting, if you will. Like, I'm starting to see it's coming out clear. It's like I'm operating backwards. Whereas I used to do it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this class, and this is how much I'm going to charge, and this is how many people, and it's going to be this, this, and this. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's ass backwards for me. Other people can do it like that, but for me, and I have to really be patient, because it's always exactly what I'm wanting to create, the energy and the feeling of it in the end. But it's just a little backwards coming at it. I don't know. Maybe people do that. I don't know. Is that what people?
I hope so. I hope that's what people do, because that's what I want to be a part of. I want to be a part of this organic process that comes out of people, that it's like, this idea, and like sitting on it. And then I think you said you had to be patient, but I think you have to trust that process too, at least in the way you're explaining. I'm like, just trusting in that whole process to go, it's going to work out perfectly, exactly as it's supposed to work out, or not, if it's not meant to. And then you're going to get those signs that are coming in, like you said, via synchronicities, where it's like, I'm totally on the right path here. Or no, it's not, it's still not feeling right yet. That's the class I want to attend. That's where, sign me up for that one. Like, that's where I want to be in that space with you when you're in alignment like that. Like, the energy of a class would be, I've been to one, I wish I'd been to more, and we'll talk about that in a little bit too. But it's, you can feel it. Like, even when we were at Yoga for Hope, like that, the energy was crazy. I was emotional, and we're like upbeat dancing, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. And it's like, it's okay. I just let it out.
Yeah. Well, I think that's when you and me and everybody else is tapping into our truth, to who we are. And when you touch that, it can bring tears to your eyes, because it's magic. It's everything. It's the one. And I agree with you. I love being with people when they're in that, and I don't care what it is. I mean, I can get caught up in anybody doing anything. I remember I was leading a meditation class. It was kind of like meditation for beginners. And I often like to ask people, what do you do? What brings you peace? What's your meditation? Whether it be sitting quiet or walking, like what does it do? What is it for you? And this lady started talking about this flower in her garden. And I can feel it now, even this has been like probably 6 years ago. She started describing this flower and the bloom on this flower. And it was some crazy flower, like it only bloomed once or something. And she was so taken by this. And we were all sucked into her talking about this. And I'm not an avid gardener, and I didn't even really care what kind of flower it was, but I was so interested in being with her in that moment. She could have been talking about phone numbers and a book. I don't care. I was like, whatever. let's do this. I'm here fully. So I think anybody in their truth, in their 100% authentic beingness, we all want to be a part of that. I mean, it's because we want it for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
When I see other people in it, I'm like, yeah, we
It's like we can feel the effects of it too. Like when they're there, you're like, you can feel that to some extent. You can feel the energy shift and where the energy levels that they're at. And then you're like, that's what I want for me too. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah. I always say like we wake each other up. Like we kind of other out of like a zombie, like we're walking around, we're doing the thing, we're making the dinner, we're washing the clothes, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden somebody's vibing and you're like, thank you. Thank you for that reminder. Thank you for letting me be a part of this, because I remember now, back on track. Where do I need to be? Where's my center? What lights me up? That's where I want to be.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that's my passion is sharing what I'm passionate about with other people. That lights me up. Just sharing it. I love being inspired, and I love inspiring other people. That's a lot like you too, right? You gain inspiration from all kinds of different sources, and you are also being an inspiration to other women. It's that give and take. It feeds itself. It's such a beautiful relationship. I think that's how it can be for everybody, no matter what it is. We can all give and receive and thrive in it that way. It's just it's amazing. If everybody were just to be who they were meant to be and follow that, what would that be like? What would that face of the planet you wouldn't even recognize?
No.
Even if we did it like 25% of the time.
Totally.
Right?
Yes.
Like it would be amazing.
Yeah. And I think
something else.
I could not agree anymore with that. I think that yes. And like also when people, like you said, we wake each other up, because it's like when people see you living your truth and doing those things and, manifesting your studio or, coming up with these classes, it gives them permission to do it too. Like them going, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. Like maybe, geez, I wonder if I could do something like that. And when they see it in action, and I think that this is why I do this podcast too, and why I am so passionate about having these conversations with women, because, and I call it Everyday Inspiring Women. You guys are more than just that, but it's like people I know who I'm like are doing incredible things, and I want other people to hear it, to say, see, these are things you can do these things too. You can, like Kelly, dig into yourself and go, how do I want to feel? What's going to light me up today? And like chase that shit like crazy. Like go after it, not necessarily chase it, but yeah, just like let it happen.
Yeah.
Let it unfold.
Lean in. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
So you're talking a lot about, being able to sit and get quiet with yourself and, have that feeling and start to like paint that picture, as you called it. I was curious to say, like, is there a special routine or some self-care activities that you do for yourself to, I would say, like facilitate it? Like if you're not, I can't think of the right word right now, but like, I guess I'll just say, like, what do you need to do for you in order to really heighten that awareness and lean into those feelings that you have?
Yeah. This is a good question. And I feel really grateful to be at a point in my life where I notice that when I'm not in it, and I can say, oh, Kelly, you've gone way off. I'm not happy. I'm grumpy or whatever it is. I'm like, okay, I know what to do to get myself back on track. And it's funny. Sometimes it'll be, I have to do some art. I have to get the paints out and I have to start drawing, painting, something. It doesn't matter what it is. Other times it used to be when the kids were really little, Mike would say, this is my husband, Kelly, I think you need to go to a yoga class. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Now I just go to it. He doesn't have to tell me. I'm like, I need to build that into my self-care routine. I have to take a class for me. I have to be filled up. I want somebody to lead me.
Mm.
And so I can take it all 100% for me. I'm not designing the class. That's really hard. I don't know if that's common for yoga teachers, or any teacher of any kind of thing like that, but my brain is usually always going. And I'm like, oh, I could use this in a class, or, oh, that would be great for this workshop, or blah, 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 blah. This is great. Like, shut that shit off. Just enjoy and soak it up. So that's what I'm finding now, actually, is things that are more outside of what I do, even though I love it. And I mean, yoga, it has been my practice. I mean, I'll roll my mat out. I'll do it in the morning when I wake up. If I need most nights I'm on the floor. If Netflix is on, I'm not on the couch. I'm on the floor. I'm rolling around. I'm like, just stretching. You probably see me too. Like, I can't stop. I'm always moving. I'm stretching. That's me caring for my body.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've been finding lately is if I can do things that are a little more outside of that. So I just got a gym membership. I've been out of the gym for a few years, and I'm working out. So I'm lifting weights and I'm running, and so my mind is not going like, oh, what, this could be in my class. No, I'm not teaching people not showing people how to run. So that is really my time. And also I love music. So I'm like, I know I get that hour. Like, I could just listen to whatever I want to listen to. And I love that. I feel amazing when I'm done, because it's me. It's 100% me. And on the topic of music, who listens to music? I'm just curious, who is listening to music just to listen to music anymore? I listen to it in the car. I'll put it on while I'm cleaning. I'll listen to podcasts while I'm doing dishes, while I'm cleaning the house. But lately I'm just experimenting with just listening to music. Just for the joy of listening to music. It's revolutionary. Like, do you remember, like, when you were like, I don't know, 12, 13 years old, like, we would turn on the radio, like the dial, and that little line would go across, and like, get it in. Listen, the DJs, and we would just, at friends, we would hang out, we just listen to the music.
Mm-hmm.
And even times, I remember if I was like in angst as a teenager, I would turn on Michael Bolton, I would turn on Celine, and I would just like, yes. It was just from my heart. And I'm like, what happened to that? What is going on in my life? And that was like, I was just honoring wherever I was and feeling. And so what I've been doing lately to just be with whatever's going on in my life, and I see this as self-care, is just, I'll put my headphones on depending on who's here, if nobody's here, and I'll just turn on whatever music, looking different artists, and just enjoying the music, listening. It is, I'm loving this. Just listen.
Yes, I love that. For me, it was like a little Mariah Carey and Paula Abdul, probably, but.
Hey, Paula Abdul's coming to town, baby, if you want to see her.
I'm thinking about it. It's so funny that you say that, because I had never thought about listening to music that way, but I had just signed up for Spotify Family or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, I can make my own playlist. I know, don't even ask. And I'm like, and I was making a playlist, and like, it is so eclectic. Like, it's like crazy, like rap songs that I blush at, because I'm like, and my kids can't listen to this song. And then, I have like Moana on it also, because I love that one song. That's right.
Makes me cry.
Right. And like, I can't wear headphones because like I need to sing, and it's not pretty. So it's like, I need the music loud to drown me out. But I love that. I think you're so right. Do we need to be stimulated all of the time or something? Is that what's happening?
I think it can get addictive, because I'm noticing that for myself. I got into this habit. I'm like, I'll eat lunch and I'll make a cup of tea. And I'm like, let's YouTube, let's go on Facebook. I'm like, but I feel that like, it's like I'm winding myself up and I'm like, no, I'm already up here idling high. I need to come down. So I've been trying lately to just eat lunch. Here again, these novel ideas, like we used to do this all the time, just to eat lunch and
What?
taste the food. I know, right? Crazy. Just maybe I'll taste it and maybe I'll enjoy it and I can savor this. Wow. So this is what I'm working on right now, is just doing one thing at a time and not doing 20,000 things, and just doing that thing full on, and doing it for the pure enjoyment of that thing, eating, music, whatever it is, talking to someone, just talking to someone. It's hard when there's kids yapping around and to hold a conversation, but I'm working on it. I'd like to, I'd like to take that to the next level.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you're eating your lunch and you're on YouTube and then you look down and your lunch is gone, and then you're like, who ate my lunch? Where, where did it
Yeah.
go?
Yeah. You know what really pisses me off is like when I'm having chocolate and I'm like, where did the last piece of chocolate go? I'm like, so you know what I'll do? I'm like, I forgot. So I got to go get another one because I just missed out that whole piece. So this is not,
That sounds
I,
completely reasonable.
I have to remember the last piece or it doesn't count.
I feel you.
So that, yeah.
So just like not to sum it up, but kind of like just be like overall mindfulness, being like, how can I be mindful in everything that I'm doing?
I mean, mindfulness it's a practice. I'm
Mm-hmm.
constantly revisiting it, and I try to take the things that are the easiest to do, like that, like when I am eating lunch by myself and absorbing every aspect of it. You know, what's easy for me to be mindful, and it's almost not even about my mind, because mindful for me is a whole body experience. It's
Mm-hmm.
mind, emotions. I am 100% tuned into the experience, just like we were talking before. And so I'm wondering if there are ways that I can kind of translate that into the areas that are really easy for me, things that I naturally love, and pull that in and like turn up the colors and turn up and really invite all my senses to be a part of it. Because we get so caught up, at least I do. I'm like, oh my God, I love visual stuff. We love watching videos, YouTube, Netflix, what's on, and seeing and looking around. But there's so much more going on. And in fact, when I did a lot of beginner meditation classes, that's how we would start, is we would go in with the five senses. And actually it can get really, really trippy, just sitting and just kind of taking it in. Okay, what can I smell? And noticing if you can't even smell anything.
Yeah.
Right? And what can I hear? And what can I taste? And what's the temperature like on my skin? And what can I feel? And even with one of the first meditations I learned was from my dad when I was a kid. We had bunk beds. And he said, okay, close your eyes, girls. Look at this. I think I was probably 8. I was destined to do this
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
My dad's like, he said, close your eyes. And he said, look at your eyelids. Look in the inside of your eyes. I was mesmerized. I said, I'll never be bored for as long as I live. I closed my eyes and I looked in there and I saw patterns and I saw sparkles and light, and like, what is that? And I would that's how I would fall asleep most nights. And now I'm kind of like veering off into like this memory. And
Yeah.
another thing he would my dad would say, he's like, when you close your eyes at night and you're going to bed, he said, you can do whatever you want. There are no rules. There are no limits. You can fly. He says, if you want to color, you can color. And I was just like, what? Like as a kid, I'm like, this is like, wow, mind, yeah, blowing up. Right. And I would be like, it was freedom. I would color in my head. I would build Lego. The plane didn't have to stop. And I did that until I fell asleep. It just opened up this whole new world for me to be inside, and I do it. This is such a good reminder. I'm so glad we're having this talk, because all this stuff that's going on around me and I'm seeing, and all this and it's great. It's fun. There's so much awesome stuff going on outside around us, but there's so much amazing stuff going on right here. Like magical stuff, stuff that you would never see out there when you close your eyes. It's wild. It's wild. I still actually I still add that one too in some of my meditation class. And I'm like, okay, everybody, close your eyes. Just look inside your eyelids. And I'm like waiting. Like, I get way more excited. And I'm like, sometimes people are like, all right, yeah, it's black in there. Black. Okay.
There's no light.
I see black. What's happening? Like, okay. So, all right, Kelly, calm down. Guide them through this a little bit, but yeah, it's a wonder what we have going on in our creative minds and what we have access to. We can do anything. That's how you got where you are. That's how you're sitting there. You did something. I did something where I showed myself pictures in my head, or I got into these places. And of course, everything material, everything you touch, everything that came first as non-physical. That was a thought first. The road we drive on was non-physical. It was a thought. The thought, the feeling, the idea, everything had to be there first. And then, wow, amazing. Look at couches, chairs, houses. It was all intangible. Like I trip out on this stuff. It's wild. I love it. We're creators. Creators. It starts with the thought, with the mind, with the feelings.
Yeah. And I think, I'm trying to think who said it, but maybe it was Brene Brown, but it's like, people were like, oh, I'm not creative. And it's like, every single one of us is creative, and we just have to find a way to tap into our creativity, because we all create.
Yeah. If you're here, if you're in a situation, if you're with people, you did something to have that happen. You created something. You had some thoughts, you made decisions and choices, and you picked from a whole array. I always say it's a choose your own adventure. You got to pick a bunch of stuff. That takes creativity. How you want to arrange it and design it. That's cool.
I like to talk about, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, we kind of went off there a little bit of a tangent. I don't know how we started, but.
That's what I love about this is like, I have questions I like to ask, but it's the conversation that drives everything. And I don't know. I think I'm the queen of going off on tangents. So I love it when it's someone else doing it, not just me. So we're good. It's all good. But like, even I was thinking about it when you're talking, and I think a lot about the guilt that we put on ourselves as, partners, and especially, I say especially, but when we're mothers, and like going like, oh, taking time from our kids or doing stuff like that. How, like, did you ever feel guilty going like, these are the things I want to do, or like teaching that yoga at the studio, at the gym, in the evenings when your kids were little? I feel like the guilt thing you've got down now, but I'm saying like maybe tap into before.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It takes practice for sure. I'm getting better at managing it. God, it felt like big chunks of my early motherhood. I still feel like I'm in early motherhood, but we're taken up. A lot of my energy was taken up with guilt. When I left to teach a class, or especially if I was leaving the girls with my husband, it wasn't so bad. I didn't mind so much. But one thing that was the toughest thing I ever did was, so after I had my kids, I was at home. I didn't have a full-time job, right? Maybe I was doing some newsletters, maybe teaching a couple classes, but for the most part, I was at home for the kids. And when my first daughter was 7 months old, I decided that I was going to put her into a home daycare for 2 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
It really was hard to explain to people. And even I don't know how to explain it now, but I just knew something was missing. Mm-hmm. And I think it was me. I was missing myself. Yeah. And I'm, as I'm remembering, I'm starting to get a little emotional because I dropped her off that first day and I cried my eyes out. I'm like, I'm going home to an empty house. I don't have a job. Who the hell am I to be putting my kid in daycare? Only moms or parents who have jobs put their kids in daycare. I was grieving the loss of my previous life. My life had changed 360. Mm-hmm. I was working full-time up until I had my first daughter. Now I'm off. My life has changed. I knew I wanted to make that transition. I wasn't going to go back. I had no intention of going back. I knew I was going to start a new career, teaching yoga, doing all that kind of stuff. But dropping her off on that first day, I thought, what am I doing? It's kind of like the yoga studio. What the hell am I doing? And it took a while. I had to really practice. And I even had some coaches help me through it, through the guilt, mm-hmm. to get me at least to a place where I could go get a massage, because my shoulders were so tight and sore from breastfeeding and holding kids, or well, at that time it was just one, to take care of myself. How dare I take care, like the guilt that I felt to go get a friggin' massage because I was like tense and like, oh my God, not getting sleep at night because I had a 7-month-old. What am I doing to myself? Why am I putting myself through this? Wow. So it got easier. It did get mm-hmm. easier, but the guilt was still there. The second kid was a little bit, I was doing a little bit more. I still had that chatter in the back of my head, you have time to take care of them. I did. I absolutely did. I had time to keep that kid home. I totally did. But I wanted to be doing something else mm-hmm. besides being full on mom. I needed other things to be happening. I started teaching more. In the morning, I started picking up classes. I started taking classes for me again, mm-hmm. and especially having toddlers. I mean, you got to take what you can get when you can get it.
Yeah.
So I think even when it's hard to do it and that guilt comes up and that you have got to do it, I just pushed myself. I cried all the way through, mm-hmm. but I knew I had to do it because it was either then or what's going to be now. I had to start it back then so I could end up here. I knew I had to push it and I had to push myself as hard as it was. And I also knew that they would be okay. Mm-hmm. And they can have other adults in their lives to care for them. And guess what? I can also rely on other people and I can ask for help. Right?
Yeah.
And accepting it and saying, mm-hmm. yeah, you know what? I could use some help here. Can you help me? Would you watch my kid? I'll pay you. Yeah. I don't want to do this by myself. I really struggled after my second one was born because I thought, I'm all by myself here at home mm-hmm. with these kids. Where did all my friends go? Where did all the fun go? I was having parties. We were getting together and all these kinds of things were happening. And I'm like, now this is not going on anymore. That my life was completely changed and I needed some help.
Yeah.
So, I think things are changing. That was like 10 years ago, but I am seeing now it's happening. I'm seeing, some of my friends who are having kids later, they are doing that for themselves. They're saying, you know what, like I need one day a week where I can, well, typically I'm hearing, so I can get groceries done and so I
Yeah.
can put my appointment, like,
So you can shower.
Okay, good start. Good start. That's how I started too. You got to start somewhere, but yeah, like to do something like fun and to indulge. But I'm seeing it more and more, and people are like, "Yeah, I'm doing this. I'm going to get myself a manicure or pedicure. I'm going to go walk, or I'm going to go read, or whatever the hell it is for you." It takes practice to care for yourself, and being a mom, especially of young kids, you're full on and you're the nurturer. You're taking care of everybody else. You gotta find a place where you can return it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I'm talking too loud. That's my youngest. She's like, you're talking too loud. Still awake.
I would be sleeping otherwise. Like if you weren't talking so loud, I would totally be asleep by now.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, that's
She
amazing.
probably heard me talking about her. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing we say at our house is like, you call them, they don't listen. And like, I'll be like 4 rooms away and I say one thing with her name in it. And she's like, did you call me? Like, what are you talking about? Like wants to know what we're talking about. And it's like, I'm sorry. I asked you like 6 times to do something and you couldn't hear me then, but now your magical hearing is working.
I know. I always say it. My husband's like, the girls aren't listening to me. I'm like, sit down, open up a book. They'll be here in 5 minutes.
Start taking time for yourself and you'll see.
Relax, open up a book, make yourself a coffee. You wouldn't even have to sit in. They'll be right there, guaranteed.
Or get on a phone call or something.
Yeah. Pick up the phone. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so funny. So like your studio's coming along and you're getting into, I'll say, the groove, no pun intended, with your dance class, but like so what's coming up next for you? So what picture are you painting? Like what's coming together for you?
So I think I'm kind of in this freeform place right now where I don't have a picture, but I'm starting to experience some new things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of feeling into that. I'm like, okay, I had a private session. I'm like, okay, I liked how that was a cool session, but I kind of dig a little bit deeper. I'm like, well, what feelings did I like in that? And what do I want to expand? So I spend time getting into that again, that feeling. I'm like, oh, I like that part where we kind of connected and where there was this energy where we were both quiet and we were breathing. I could hear our breath. Oh, I really liked that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how more of that's going to show up. Will it be with a private client? Will it be in a class? I just know more of that. So that's kind of where I'm kind of planting seeds now. But another thing that's coming up for me after teaching yoga for over a decade, sometimes I get tired of myself, hearing myself talk. And so I would like to be more creative in my delivery of instruction. I heard this, I was listening to a talk, I forget her name. She was talking about control versus not controlling. And she said, where are the things that you can control that you're not? And what are the things, and vice versa, what are the things you are controlling that you could back off on?
Mm-hmm.
So being kind of like peace, love, and happiness, go with the flow kind of girl, it's hard for me to implement control.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing where in my business, I could use a little bit more control. Mm-hmm. Especially as I'm getting into more admin stuff and I'm getting into memberships and I'm getting into marketing and I'm having to promote myself. that requires some focused effort. And I mean, I love things to just happen and like magic and like, yeah, it's all just going to happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. But what I'm realizing is when I'm not controlling the things that should be controlled, I start to get, I get scattered, I get ungrounded, and things feel, I just get starting to feel out of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm doing lately is being a little more conscious of, for example, a class plan or my language, maybe setting out, even jotting down some words or some themes that I want to use and grow into my classes, or maybe into like the month. So that's
Mm-hmm.
a really big thing that's coming up for me right now is my language. And because too, I'm listening to myself. And so I want to enjoy what I'm saying. I want to get something out of it too. I like to inspire myself. I know I've delivered a good class when at the end I'm kind of choked up by what I've said, right? Isn't that cool? Like that we
Yeah.
can inspire ourselves like that. So I'm spending a little more time doing that controlling bit. It's not always controlling. It just gets out of sorts when we try to control the things that we have no control over,
Right.
like other people's reaction, how they think about us, and all that kind of stuff. That I can back off on, but I'm just finding I need a little more balance and a little bit elbow grease in certain places too. Again, with the whole business thing, which is more new for me. But I'm also aware of how I can keep it fun too.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm like, oh, I really want to get the word out about this event, let's say, oh, how could I do it in a way that really speaks to me and that would be really fun for me? I don't, if I'm starting to do it or I'm starting to put something together, let's say on Facebook, and it's like, it's arduous. I'm like, God, I really feel like I'm dragging my heels through this. I'm like, what other way could I possibly do this so this would be fun for me?
Right.
You know, I've
Oh,
blocked
yeah.
off this time. I'm doing this 20 minutes. I'm going to put it out there, but you know, is it instead a photo, or is it a little bit in a newsletter? Is it, what is it? Maybe I just talk to people. I don't know, whatever it is. It's got to be fun for me. Sometimes I'll take pictures of me, and I like, for some reason, I still really like the Paint app. I think they had the Paint app on computers like when we were kids. And it was just like, you would drag like the computer brush across the screen. I still freaking love that program. It's not even an app. I don't even know if they have the app Paint, whatever. It's my big chunky computer. Like, I love playing around on there, and like that lights me up. I'm like, that's how I'm gonna do that advertisement, for example. So it's that bit of control, but keeping it creative
Mm-hmm.
in this place of, yeah, in the business world. Yeah. So that's been fun to realize that.
Yeah, I love that too. And I think it's so true. Like it can be fun. Why do we think it's like, oh, I don't like, business is not supposed to be fun. Well, then you're in the wrong business, because it's like things, like you said, can be arduous, but it's like, but I can also intentionally make something enjoyable. I don't have to not look forward to doing something. I can say, okay, what do I need to do to make it fun or make it lighter feeling or almost
Yeah.
easy? Like, can you imagine? So that's a super good
Yeah.
point.
And yeah, there's a million different ways of doing
Yes.
something. Well,
Yes.
we get stuck in, well, I'm going to enter my finances, like, my income page or whatever, and how much I've spent and all this kind of stuff. There's more than one way to do that. And,
Totally.
one of my friends, I love her, Laura Kaladi she's got her own yoga studio.
Yes. Yeah.
Laura, and she started this Tribe Tuesdays where we just get together and do all that admin stuff together. And I'm like, brilliant.
Yes.
I've done in those 2 hours hanging out with all my favorite peeps, working, than I did at home, because
Yeah,
I was
totally.
somewhere else. They were doing it, I was doing it, we were work. It was fantastic. I was having so much fun. It
Yeah.
wasn't, didn't feel like work. So I'm like, yeah, I knew this was possible. I knew I could do this a different way so that I can enjoy it and it wasn't the arduous task every week. Yeah, it's
Yes,
possible. Yeah.
totally. Agreed. I love that. Love that perspective because it's so freaking true. Yeah. So Tribe Tuesday, I love that name. But so talk to me about community because that's an obsession of mine. And like, how would you define community? And, what do you do to participate in it?
I have to come back to kind of what we talked about before is community for me is when people are together being that themselves, being that vibing, that woman talking about the flower, if somebody's dancing or whatever it is that you do, that or whoever you are, whatever you want to express or not express, and that's 100% you. I want everybody to be that and us all be together while that's happening. That's probably, I was thinking about it. That's why I have this in my home. I wanted it even closer. It wasn't enough that I was teaching somewhere else. I needed even closer to me. I want people to come into my home, but now home studio, and I want to have that vibe flowing through this structure.
Mm-hmm.
Because when people are taking a yoga class, when people are dancing, when we're getting together to meditate, we're starting to touch those places where it's true, our true selves. And when we're all together doing that, I don't care if somebody's drumming, somebody over here is humming, somebody's rolling around on the floor doing some yoga, whatever it looks like, but that we're all honoring ourselves and we're together doing it. That's magic. And that's what I want more of. I always said in my yoga classes, I'm the happiest and I feel like I've done my job when there's a yoga class going on and everybody looks different.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be all copying, here's the pose and I don't want you all looking the same. Then I know you're honoring yourself and your body and what it needs, and we're here doing it together.
Mm-hmm.
That's what lights me up. It's like a high. I'm like, wow, this is a true expression here. That's community. That's being together, you and then all of us together. More of that.
Yes.
That looks like.
I love that. I think that everyone can relate to that with the thing that lights them up. And like, yes, like when people are vulnerably sharing for me, I'm like, just tell me your darkest secrets. Like, let's have this conversation, like that's like where they feel comfortable enough to do that. That's powerful. So I get where you start, it lights you up like, yes, more.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
All right. I want to wrap this up a little bit, but I love books and like I don't read a lot, but I like to listen to audiobooks and I love getting something new and I love talking about them. So I was curious, what like, can you narrow down and like to one favorite book that you have or like a motivational quote, maybe even that you like kind of lean on when you need some inspiration or extra push?
Okay. So this is not entirely with the rules of your question,
It's
but
okay. I'm good. Break them.
this is what I'm vibing on right now in the past few years. Misty Tripoli, she is the originator of groove. And for people who are just hearing this word for the first time, groove is it's dancing, and it's staying with your authenticity. We do it as a community. We do it in our own way, but we do kind of follow a same rhythm. And in groove, there are truths. And these truths that they've put out in groove that Misty has developed, I think about them and I practice them. And she always says, groove your life. So it's not just when we're doing the class, but it's in everything that we do in our family life, in our personal life, when we want to take a chance, when we want to take risks and we want to grow something. And one of the groove truths is you're unique. You're supposed to look different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes. We get into trouble comparing each other, right? I'm not doing it like her. She's got this. Yeah, you're supposed to look different. That's the whole deal here. We're all different. You're supposed to look different. Another one of the truths is you can't get it wrong.
I love when you say that. That's my favorite when you said, I was trying to think of the one thing that you say that I'm like, effing right. Yes.
Yeah.
When you said that's it. Yes. Keep going.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, that's okay. Or another way of saying it, if you like the positive wording, is your way is the right way. Yeah, of course it is, because there's nobody like you.
Yes.
So the way you're going to do it, that's for you. Nobody has your body. Nobody has your brain. Nobody has your experiences your way. How could we compare? This is craziness that we compare. We do it and I do it, but I'm looking for new ways to get out of that. And that's why I use these truths. Your way is the right way. And another one, which I've been practicing and is a shitload of fun, is nobody cares what you look like. So whatever the hell it is you're doing, whether it be growing a business, whether it be raising your kids, whether you're writing a book, whatever the heck it is, nobody cares. And if they do, that doesn't have anything to do with you. That's their stuff. That's their issue. That's their problem. That's going on over there in their world. That's not part of yours.
Yeah.
No, and you know what? And I've practiced this because I want to test it. And I typically test it by doing like little dances. So I'll be like, if I'm in the subway, let's say I'm in Toronto, and there's generally musicians. I'm like, I will full on to the dismay of my family. I will fully bust out a move, and I will go until they drag me away. And I've been in airports, and I'm like, I'm dancing. Who are you seeing that's dancing? I'm dancing. And I'm looking, yeah, okay, a couple people here and there, they look at me like I'm like bonkers. I'm like, that's for her. That's for those people to deal with their emotions about me. Yeah. I'm having fun, and I don't care. I can't go on in my life, and I'm going to end up on my deathbed, and I didn't take that chance to do whatever I want because I heard a great song. I'm like, oh my God, I want to dance to this, but I can't because you shouldn't. Here, and everybody's going to look at me funny. Okay. So that's a really fun one to play with. There's two more. I want to wrap it up because you said we're wrapping up.
Yes.
The other one is, you're the only one doing this. This is your show. It's all you, baby. It's for you. So you're the only one doing it. You're the one bringing the game. Do the thing. And the last one is, none of this makes any difference unless you practice it, unless you actually put it into practice in your life. Yeah. So whether it's what you put on in the morning, whether it's how you move, whether it's how you do a vacation, whether it's how you organize your dinner, you gotta do it for you. Who cares what the neighbor is doing? You gotta put these things into practice. Put them in practice in your life. Try it out. Pick one of them. Do something. We're only given so much time here. Let's take this experience. Sink our teeth into it. I get excited when we talk about this because I'm like, wow, there's so many areas in my life that I still have yet to practice these ideas and really soak up and get more out of my life. And when I do, and when you do, and when everybody else does, then guess what? We're all vibing. We're all being that amazing light and that authenticity. And then when we do that, we find each other. Yes. And then we start linking up, and we start growing these. You're doing it, you're seeing it, you're doing it for yourself and your tribes, and it grows, and this energy grows. It's palpable, and you're like, holy shit, I want to be a part of this. This is what's changing the world. And it all starts with me being who I am and not trying to be anybody else.
Yes. Let's leave it there. That was perfect. Done. Thank you. So people, if you are local, you totally have to go check out a groove class. They're so much fun. And I am a terrible dancer. And when I got out of my head and into my body, and with some super simple instruction, we had so much fun. I've done them twice now, and it's like, you need to come to Amherstburg. So just saying. How can they what's the best way for someone to get in touch with you then, Kelly? I'll put the
thank you.
The show notes. I'll put on the show notes how to get in touch with you too.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm on Facebook. My business is Natural Solutions, but solutions, it's a trick. It's not solutions, it's your soul. SOUL, soul, solutions. And the website's the same, naturalsolutions.ca. And I'm Kelly Cowan, so that's easy to find on Facebook, and I think that's the easiest way. Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you for that
Awesome.
opportunity. Appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you so much for chatting with me. I loved every minute of it. It was so inspiring. So thank you so much. I'm so glad that our paths crossed and then crisscrossed again. And I love watching everything that you're doing. And I'm looking forward to
Thank you.
seeing what's coming up next for you too.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll talk soon.
All right. Bye, Jessica.
Bye.